2D donkey. That saw the angel first. A prophet was riding down a road when his donkey suddenly stopped. He beat the animal and forced it forward. The donkey moved again, but then crushed his foot against the wall. He beat her again. Then she lay down underneath him and refused to move at all. The prophet became furious and struck her a third time. That is when the donkey opened her mouth and spoke. "What have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times?" And somehow, the talking donkey was not even the strangest thing standing on that road, because directly in front of them was an angel holding a drawn sword. The donkey could see him. The prophet could not. This is the story of Balaam, the man who was supposed to hear from God, but had become less spiritually aware than the animal carrying him. And beneath the talking donkey, the sword, and the strange journey is a warning about ambition, stubbornness, and what happens when we become so focused on where we want to go that we stop noticing who may be trying to protect us. The story begins in Numbers chapter 22. Israel had traveled near the land of Moab, and King Balak was terrified. He had heard what Israel had done to other nations, and he believed his kingdom might be next. So Balak decided that ordinary weapons would not be enough. He wanted a spiritual weapon. He sent messengers to a man named Balaam, who had a reputation for pronouncing blessings and curses. Numbers chapter 22 verse 6 records Balak's message, "Come now therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me." Balak believed that if Balaam cursed Israel, Moab might defeat them. So he sent influential men carrying money and promises of reward. But Balaam told them to stay overnight while he asked God what to do. God's answer was clear. Numbers chapter 22 verse 12 says, "Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed." That should have ended the matter. God had said no. Israel was blessed. Balaam was not supposed to go. The messengers returned to Balak, but the king refused to accept the answer. He sent more officials, more important men this time, and promised Balaam greater honor. Numbers chapter 22 verse 17 says, "For I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me." Balaam responded with words that sounded righteous. He said that even if Balak gave him a house filled with silver and gold, he could not go beyond the word of God. That sounds faithful. But then Balaam asked the messengers to stay another night so he could ask God again. That is the first crack in the story. God had already answered. Balaam did not need more information. He wanted a different answer. That is a dangerous place to stand. Sometimes we keep asking because we are confused. But sometimes we keep asking because the answer we received interfered with what we wanted. We call it patience. We call it seeking guidance. We call it keeping our options open. But beneath the polite language, we may simply be hoping that a clear no will eventually become permission. That night, God told Balaam that if the men came to call him, he could go, but he must speak only what God commanded. The next morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and left. Numbers chapter 22 verse 22 says, "And God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him." At first that sounds confusing. Why would God allow him to go and then become angry? The story suggests that the problem was not only Balaam's movement, but his motive. Balaam was traveling toward a reward connected to cursing people God had blessed. Later biblical passages describe Balaam as someone who loved the payment of wrongdoing. His mouth spoke obedience, but his desire leaned toward profit. So the angel of the Lord stood in the road with a sword. Balaam did not see him, but the donkey did. Numbers chapter 22 verse 23 says, "And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. The donkey turned away from the road and walked into a field. Balaam became angry and struck her. He forced her back toward the path. Then the angel moved to a narrow place between 2 vineyard walls. The donkey saw the danger again and pressed herself against the wall to avoid the sword. Balaam's foot was crushed. He struck her again. Then the angel moved farther ahead to a place so narrow that there was nowhere to turn. The donkey saw the sword and lay down. Balaam lost his temper. Numbers chapter 22 verse 27 says, "And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff." From Balaam's perspective, the animal was ruining his journey. She was wandering. She was hurting him. She was refusing to move. He saw resistance. He did not see protection. That distinction changes everything. The thing frustrating him was the thing keeping him alive. Then God opened the donkey's mouth. Numbers chapter 22 verse 28 says, "And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, What have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? Balaam answers her. He is so angry that the fact his donkey is speaking does not even slow him down. He tells her that she has mocked him, and says that if he had a sword, he would kill her. The donkey responds, Am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine, unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? In other words, have I ever behaved like this before? Balaam answers, No. That question should have awakened something in him. When something trustworthy suddenly behaves differently, anger may not be the wisest first response. Perhaps something has changed that we cannot see. Perhaps the person slowing us down is afraid. Perhaps the closed door is protecting us. Perhaps the delay is not an insult. Perhaps what feels like resistance deserves investigation before punishment. Then God opens Balaam's eyes. Numbers chapter 22 verse 31 says, Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. Balaam falls, face down. The angel asks him why he struck the donkey 3 times. Then the angel says something terrifying. I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me. The angel explains that the donkey saw him and turned away. If she had not moved, the angel says Balaam would have been killed, while the donkey would have been spared. Think about that. Balaam believed the donkey was embarrassing him. In reality, she was saving his life. Every strange movement suddenly made sense. The field, the crushed foot, the refusal to continue. What looked like incompetence was awareness. What looked like rebellion was mercy. Balaam finally says, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. That confession sits at the center of the story. I did not know. Balaam had spiritual status. People believed his words carried power. Kings sent money to obtain his services. But on that road, the famous prophet did not know what an ordinary donkey could see. That should humble anyone who believes knowledge, position, or religious language makes them impossible to correct. Sometimes the person who claims to see the most is the one missing what is directly ahead. Sometimes wisdom comes from an unexpected voice. Sometimes God uses the very thing we dismiss to interrupt a dangerous path. The angel allows Balaam to continue, but warns him to speak only what God gives him. Balaam eventually arrives before Balak. The king expects a curse, but every time Balaam opens his mouth, blessing comes out instead. Balak becomes furious. He brought Balaam to curse Israel, but Balaam cannot overturn what God has blessed. That is another source of hope in this strange story. Human beings may speak against you. They may misunderstand you. They may want to control your future. They may even gather influence, money, and power to harm you. But they do not have final authority over what God is doing. Balak had a plan. Balaam had ambition. The angel had a sword. The donkey had better vision than the prophet. And somehow, the people Balak wanted cursed remained blessed. The story does not teach that every inconvenience is a supernatural warning. It does not mean every delay is God saying no, but it does ask an uncomfortable question. What if the thing making you angry is trying to protect you? What if the door that will not open is not punishment? What if the person asking you to slow down can see something you cannot? What if you are striking at the very mercy keeping you from walking into a sword? Balaam's greatest problem was not that the donkey refused to move. His greatest problem was that his desire had made him blind. He wanted the reward. He wanted the recognition. He wanted to reach his destination. And anything slowing him down became an enemy. That can happen to us. We can want the relationship so badly that every warning feels negative. We can want the job so badly that we ignore what it is costing us. We can want approval so badly that correction feels like betrayal. We can want control so badly that anything outside our plan feels unbearable. But the story of Balaam says there is mercy in being interrupted. There is mercy in having our eyes opened. There is mercy in the moments when we finally realize this path is not taking me where I thought it was. The donkey spoke. The prophet listened. The angel became visible. And Balaam was given a chance to change his posture before the sword became the final word. So the next time life forces you to slow down, do not immediately assume you are being attacked. Pause. Look again. Ask what you may be missing. Because sometimes the roadblock is not there to destroy your future. Sometimes it is standing between you and something that would have destroyed you. And sometimes the voice you least expected is the one saying, "Stop. Look up. There is something in the road."